So I just wanted to start off by saying that I'm a fan. I am a big fan of yours. So I'm very excited to be doing this and interviewing you.
Thank you.
So I'm all caught up on Birdgirl,
Oh my gosh. Did you watch them
and
all at one time or did you watch them separately?
I kind of spaced it out a little bit, but
Good,
I like for
good.
the most part, like I caught up like through like the first I guess like half of the second season, and then there was
Uh-huh.
like a couple weeks until the most recent episode came
Right.
out. But I'm all caught up now, and I've bin enjoying it, but it's definitely not the type of show that I'm usually drawn to.
I've never seen anything like it. I think it's crazy. That's why I was asking if you had seen them all because I mostly watch Top Chef and cook. So I had to watch all of the Bird Girls this morning to be able to talk to you and a
Yeah.
couple other people, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. Uh, it's a crazy trippy show, right?
It is very, and
There's
that's
so
actually
much
that's
going
actually
on.
something I was going to ask you, like what stuff do you usually watch, like not like animation, like what type of stuff are you usually you usually watching in your free time?
Okay, I watch all of the cooking stuff, like cooking shows like Beat Bobby Flay and Top Chef. I watched Top Chef starting at season one, which I think was 20 years ago, and just
Okay.
watch every episode all the way through. I'm on like my sixth time through. I watch all the lady stuff, like the Downton Abbey and Gilded Age, and I love
I have also seen some Downton Abbey.
yeah,
I
good, good. I
I,
like Dame Maggie Smith. She's
I
a
love Maggie
favorite.
Smith. Yeah,
So yeah.
that was one of my grandma's favorite shows that she used to watch, Downton Abbey.
Oh, did now is she still with us?
No, she passed a
No,
couple years ago.
I'm
So
sorry.
so I had never really watched the show too much, but then when the first like movie came out, I like went to go see it kind of like in her honor because I knew it would have been one that she would have gone to see, and I loved it. Like having like
Oh,
hardly like I was like vaguely familiar with some of the characters, but everything was so like British and charming.
yeah, and beautiful. And I just watched the second one, the second
I
Downton
did
Abbey
too.
movie.
I watched it a couple weeks ago when I saw that it was on Peacock. I was
Yeah,
like, I should watch this, and it was again very British and very good.
I know, I love it. Now, Gilded Age, which I think is on HBO, is about 1910, 1911 United States, Manhattan, also executive produced and written by Julian Fellows, who wrote Downton Abbey. So you
Yeah,
get, yeah, the American sort of version of the same time period.
yeah,
And I love
that's on
that.
my ever growing watch list of things to eventually get to watching.
What else is on your watch list?
Oh, I have so much. So much now, especially now that I'm starting working with FandomWire. I'm getting like hooked up with like screeners for things,
Ooh,
so it's all like very exciting.
great. You have access to everything. I guess a lot of us do. I feel like I need to make a list of everything I want to see because there's so many streaming
Yeah, there's so
platforms now. I
much
don't
on
know
so
where I
many.
am.
Like I just finished Miss Marvel this morning,
Oh,
which was
I love
great.
it. I love it.
And yeah, so there's so much to watch.
Yes. So it sounds like we both like the same shows and we both agree. Yes, Bird Girl is brilliant, but it's
Yes,
crazy. It's
it is
very
crazy.
weird. I don't think there's anything else like it on TV. And that's a
So
lot of animated nudity too. And so many like really quick jokes that I
yeah,
had to rewind. A guy dressed as kind of a beaten up Easter bunny holding up a sign saying "Ask me about Easter," and dog with bucket hat with the iguana.
yeah,
His
that was that whole thing. I was like, what
Danny
is happening
Zuko.
here?
The iguana.
What is
It's
going on?
yeah, it's wild. And but I don't know that when I record what they write. I read the script and
Mhm.
record the Bird Girl and the Judy stuff. And then 9, 10 months later, we get the animated show back. And there's all this stuff I never saw. And I think those guys, I think the men and women who are are writing the show are adding after we record. I think they're
Yeah.
still writing and making things up because I don't recall a bunch of this stuff being in any of the scripts. So it's so wild to watch.
So
And
so now you've been voicing this character in general for a while now, right?
yeah, yeah, it started on Harvey Birdman, which I think I joined out, I think in season 4 they wrote Birdgirl, and that was
In
10 or 11 years ago. Do you know? Can you
in
tell
in
me?
my notes,
Yes,
I have
please.
it from you started voicing Judy in 2005.
2005?
That's what I found on
Thank you.
online.
I believe you. I thank God you have notes. I didn't look that up. Okay, 2000. That's a long time. Help me with the math. 15. Wait, yeah, that's 15 years plus 20. No, that's not right.
Like
15.
17
We're
years, right?
I let's see,
2005 to
2022,
now.
2005. But is yes, thank you.
Yeah.
17 years. For a minute there, I was like, no, that's 38 years. I can't be right. Yes, 17 years. Wow. Hey,
So is
thank
there
you for
anything
pointing that
different?
out.
You're welcome. Is there anything different about voicing Judy now compared to like voicing her back when you were voicing her on Harvey Birdman?
Well, I think I've learned a lot more. The other thing though is that they they were writing for my fast talking mania
Hmm.
that comes out a little bit vocally. So she's Judy Judy has become more kind of psychotic, and Birdgirl has become more libidinous
Yeah, I
and
like how it's kind of like almost like a split personality
yeah,
kind of
that
thing. Like once Judy puts the Bird Girl costume on, it's like she's a completely different.
totally different person. And we record it that way where we each episode we record all the way through all the Judys, and then we go back
Okay.
to the beginning and we record all the Bird Girls.
Okay, so you
Um,
don't have to like flip.
no, I don't, because we tried that once. There is, I think it's in episode 6, maybe, that hasn't aired yet. That is airing, everybody. Sunday, July 17th, 11:30 p.m.
Actually,
on Adult Swim.
I think in the one I watched the most
Oh, is
recent
that,
one, I think this morning, and there was like a conversation
is it
where
5? It's
like
episode
yeah,
5.
where like Judy's like
Okay.
talking to like Bird Girl, like the costume is in like the case, and she's kind of talking to like a
Okay, great.
reflection.
Thank you. I haven't seen that scene yet. I'm in the middle of 5. So that was Birdgirl and Judy having a conversation. And I said, hey, let's try it. And it didn't, it didn't work. So it did work out to record them separately because there is a minute difference. And those guys prefer, the directors and the writers and the
Mhm.
executive producers prefer to record them separately because it's also easier in editing because
Right.
you have
Yeah.
each character ready. So it works for me because they are slightly different. And trying to have a conversation as both of them that was not going to work.
Now, when you record, do you like I know like a lot of like voice actors have like setups like in their homes a lot of time. Do
Oh
you like
yeah.
record at home or do you
Yeah.
go to like a studio?
No, I record the last job I did before COVID hit and everyone had to stay home was recording an episode for Bird Girl season 1, I think. And we were at Margarita Mix, which is this really cool recording studio that has a lot of iguanas in it in Hollywood.
Maybe
And
that's where they got the iguana idea.
I think they did. Now that yeah, you're right. Thank you. We were standing there saying, so maybe I'll see ya. I guess we're not we can't hug or okay, so I'll see ya.
Yeah,
And
6 feet,
then
like
yeah, months later, we built a recording studio because I thought, oh, this is going to go. If you look at the Spanish flu and how long that affected
yeah.
America, think about now air travel. So I think we're going to be in this for a couple of years.
Oh yeah,
So
it's not going away anytime soon.
no, but I'm hoping we can all, I don't know, that we've built up immunity or we're vaccinated or we're able to leave the house because I love recording here and I love being able to see everybody on Zoom, but it's been a long time
So
to
so
not be around
have you been
people.
like out like a lot since
No,
everything, or have you kind of like you still kind of like stayed?
I recorded one episode of Family Guy. No, American Dad. I recorded an episode of
Okay.
American Dad in a studio in Burbank, and because they were trying to get things together for COVID, it actually wasn't. Um, I'm not trying to brag. I invested a lot of money into it because I knew this was going to be years, and all I wanted to do was animation. It wasn't as good of a setup as what we have here in the converted
Yeah.
garage. So my husband's a composer, so we built a recording studio before the pandemic.
Oh,
So
that's
it's a
cool. I didn't know
soundproof
that.
room. Yeah. So then when the pandemic hit, right after Birdgirl, I was like, oh, this is what everyone's going to be doing now. Everyone's going to be doing animation. And so, we had a custom vocal booth made.
Well, that's
Um,
cool.
yeah, and it's been great. And it's been how I was able to keep my insurance. And, it's all been animation and narration and stuff. So it's been really, it was definitely worth the investment. And we were able to do Birdgirl again. And, when the studios were all shut down, I was able to keep working, which has been, really, really helpful.
So would that be like your preferred way to do animation moving forward, recording at home versus being in a studio?
It just seems like it's easier for everybody for the time being because a lot also did I'm on animated shows where the people who created the show are in Norway. So
Oh, wow.
getting people together, all of us do table reads like this. I'm in the kitchen and we all meet up on Zoom and do table reads of Praise Petey or Bad Crimes or and Captain Fall. Then the producers can just set up recordings with everybody at home who has the equipment at home that is quality enough or non-echoey enough
Yeah.
for it to work in animation.
I've seen like people with like closet setups or like,
Yes. Yeah. You hang out underneath all your clothes. And for a
yeah,
while in the beginning, they were sending like The Simpsons, people were sending recording kits to people's houses and they were trying to set up in the walk-in closet. They would say, get into a closet any that you can stand in
yeah.
and get underneath all the clothes and set all this up. And so
I don't think I have a closet in my apartment that I could do that in right
that you
now.
could fit in.
Well, we do have like a front closet in like our hallway, like
Uh-huh.
entryway, but it's kind of like taken up by now by stuff that we're
Yes.
gradually
But
trying to
that's
get
the
through.
thing. They want you surrounded by stuff. That is what deadens the sound
Well,
and
the
makes it
problem is I
studio
couldn't get in
quality.
there with the stuff. Like the stuff
Oh,
is like all it's like all taking up. There's like no room for me to like even like squeeze in there.
well, Elliot, you're young. You're young. Your walk-in closet days are ahead of you.
I'm not as young as I look.
Well, I'm not allowed to ask you how old you are, I don't think.
that's that's okay. I will say it. Like
I'm
I'm
not asking.
29.
You're 29. You're young. You're so young.
Yeah, but
Oh,
we keep having like instances where I'm out with my wife and like somebody thinks that I'm her son.
no. Is she
Yes.
older? Is she older than you?
Only she's only 32.
Oh, that poor girl. I'm 12 years older than my husband, and I'm always terrified that people are going to say, and what would your son like?
I've always like it's the baby face.
It's you do what
I'm
you
cursed
do.
with the baby face. I got carded once at Walmart trying to buy an R-rated movie on DVD. Like the
There's,
woman who was checking me out, she like looked at the DVD and then looked at me, like questioning if I was really old enough to buy this movie.
how old were you at that time?
I was at least in my 20s.
Okay.
I was at least in my early 20s. I want to say I was like 21 or 22.
Hmm.
So at that point when she was taking so long, I was like, I have ID if you'd like to see it.
Well,
But
Birdgirl's rated R, isn't it? It's got to be. There's swearing and
I think the most recent
has to be.
episode it said like TV 14,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I think.
What makes, wait a minute. See, now I don't, now I'm not sure I know what makes something R. It's not just swearing.
Yeah, I'm
14 is swearing?
I think 14 is swearing.
Okay.
I think probably more than 14 would be like I don't know, maybe like drug use or like or like explicit
But there was
explicit nudity.
Baltimore. Oh yeah, there's no explicit nudity on
Yeah.
Birdgirl. Animated nudity. there is toxic substance abuse. Maybe that's not the same for the rating system.
but like on streaming though, it seems like ratings like don't really like matter a whole lot.
I guess not. And they say like they scroll in the top. What's
Yeah,
going to
like
be
in
up
like
there?
the top, like in the top left, it's like TV 14, and then every reason why it's TV 14.
Right. So I was watching The Offer. Have you seen that? I think
I have
it's
not. That's on
Paramount
my
Plus.
list.
Oh,
we just got Paramount
it.
Plus back, and I got into watching Evil.
Oh yeah,
which is so good.
I was watching that and then I forgot that was on Paramount Plus. Yeah,
so good. And so the Offer is on my growing list now on Paramount Plus of things to watch.
Yes. And will you watch it with your wife?
Probably. I started watching Evil by myself, but then as I was watching it, I was like, oh, she would be really interested in this because she works in like the mental health, like social work field and everything. So like they reference things and I'm like, I've heard that before. She's brought that up before.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's hard to find something that you and your spouse both want to watch.
Yeah, like I also just started watching The Boys. That's not a show that she would want to watch.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, my husband, he went all the way through it and now I'm trying to catch up.
Yeah,
but I can't watch it before bed.
That's not a show that she would want to watch.
It's rough stuff, but it's a brilliant show. I just can't watch it at night. My husband wants to watch it at night, and I want to watch it where I can pay attention, like in the morning. Yeah, and then because it's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot that happens.
But it's a brilliant show. I love it.
Yeah, it's very, very good. So I would also be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to thank you for DuckTales.
Hey, thank you for thanking me for DuckTales.
Because when my wife and I got married a couple years ago, we got married like literally right before everything shut down for COVID.
Wow.
And I still say that we were probably one of the first Zoom weddings because we did that like last minute.
Oh my gosh.
And it worked out great. But but at the time, my son was 8, and so I used DuckTales as like a bonding show for us. So I just
I'm so happy to hear that. Oh, thanks for telling me that. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, I got a chance to meet David Tennant at Fan Expo recently, and I selected the DuckTales for the autograph. And I got a picture with him too, which was nice.
I've never met him. Still never met him.
Have you met any of the cast?
Yes. I knew Kate Micucci and Danny Pudi before, and then I met Bobby Moynihan.
Okay.
And have I met Beck Bennett in person? I don't know if I have.
I know I haven't.
I've never met Tennant though, which feels weird.
Yeah.
It's strange, but that's animation too. I haven't met a bunch of people from Birdgirl. I know a bunch of the guest voices because they're friends of mine, and I was telling the show, hey, hire this person, hire the, call them in for this.
They're great. I recommend them.
Yeah, but I've only met Heather in person, who plays Gillian.
That's so crazy to think about. Yeah. You're working with these people on these shows, and you like don't even really get to meet them a whole lot.
Yeah, no, Nagin is in New York City, so she records remotely too. I mean, that's sort of what's been going on, is that people have been all over the country recording remotely this whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, it works out great for animation.
Yeah. And I was really hoping that DuckTales would come back. We were all.
I was too. My son was so upset when it was ending. I was like, come on.
Oh, we were so upset when it ended, and we were thinking, oh, now all of these shows are turning into animated shows. Maybe they'll bring DuckTales back because all of us want to do it, and
Yeah,
we all have home studios we could do. And we were all like, oh, please, please, please.
it was so good. I'll be honest, I was like a little skeptical going into it,
That's fair.
just
That's
because
fair.
of like the legacy with like the
Yes.
classic cartoon and everything. But right from the first episode, I was like, this is so great, and the cast
Oh,
is perfect, and just, I mean, David Tennant is Scrooge McDuck, like
yeah, I know.
like that's just perfect.
It's perfect. That's so exciting. I'm really happy to hear you say that. Yeah, because it was a lot. It was a lot to live up to, and Della Duck hadn't even existed. She was in,
Right,
a
exactly.
couple of panels of the graphic, uh, but not. She hadn't appeared on DuckTales, so it was exciting. And my husband loved DuckTales
So
when
did
he was
so
a
did you
kid.
feel like pressure with that, like kind of like being like basically like the first like real iteration of Della?
I really didn't understand what a big deal it was until I had already started. Which is good because I probably would have been too nervous. And I remember that was before we had a studio or anything. I recorded it in a closet in a
Mhm.
thing, just on my phone. And my husband was such a huge fan of DuckTales. He said, let me hear it. And I showed him the sides and I read it as Della Duck. And he said, I think this is the one. I think you're gonna get this. Because he
Yeah.
would hear me, he would help read with me to audition for other voiceover stuff. And he was like, you are Della Duck. This is it. And he was like, and it's a big deal. But he didn't explain to me how big of a deal it was. So yeah, I'm really glad that you liked it, even though because you started out skeptical. It feels really good
Yeah.
to hear
And
that you enjoyed it.
I started watching it like even before like I started watching it with my son. Like I
Uh-huh.
had started watching it just on my own, and then by the time that my
Oh,
wife and I got
really?
together, I was like, this would be a really great show that he and I could start like watching together and bonding over.
Nice.
So then I like rewatched it with him, and then we just kept up with like the new episodes like every week.
That makes me really happy to hear. Thank
Elliot,
you
do
for
you want
telling me
to?
that.
I hate to break up the party,
Oh,
Elliot. I've got another reporter
oops.
waiting, but yeah, no, it's
Oh,
Grant next. But yeah, did you was that everything you needed, Elliot? If you have any other follow-up questions for Paget, feel free to, we can
um,
always,
I
send
guess
it via email.
I
Mhm.
guess just a final thing that I would want to say would
Uh-huh.
be just thank you for this wonderful conversation. And if it wasn't Monica that ended up with Chandler, I was really rooting for Kathy.
Elliot,
You were my favorite of Chandler's girlfriends until until Monica. So
yeah, of course. Thank you, Elliot, so much. And congratulations on your first interview. You're great.
thank
You
you.
had nothing to be nervous about. This has been absolute joy. Thank
That's
you
good.
so
I
much.
needed to hear that. So thank you for for
Thank
reaffirming
you for
that.
helping me promote Birdgirl.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks, Elliot.
Bye bye.
Bye.